How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Good.
Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I wonder, what was the biggest challenge when it comes to the Little Mermaid?
Wow, it's a series, but I guess the one that comes to mind immediately is how do you film an underwater musical, just technically. And it was very complicated. The way we did it was we actually prepped for quite a long time, almost a year of prep, so that we could be prepared as to how to shoot it. We started with storyboards, so we could see how the camera would move, how the actors would move. And then we moved into something called pre-visualization, which is like literally a mini movie. And that helped us see how it all would work. And then we communicated all of that to our stunt team and communicated all that to our camera team so that we could get our actors up in the air, moving through a blue screen stage. We obviously couldn't shoot in water because they're singing and speaking, etc. So we had to, figure out how it would all be choreographed. And so we really, in a way, choreographed the whole film in advance. It was almost like literally a ballet. I'm very grateful that I have a choreographic background because it really helped as we organized how this was all going to move. And at the end of the day, all the digital work, everything's added. So every strand of hair, the backgrounds, the fish, the water, the vegetation, all of it, the seaweed, all of it is ultimately added. So there was a lot of work, and that's why the whole film took 4.5 years.
As you mentioned, the technical aspects were difficult, but the important thing about this production was the story. What was it about the story that convinced you to revisit this classic?
Thank you for saying that, because I do feel in a way that was my mantra the whole time as I was working on the film. I wanted to protect the story. I didn't want it to be a technical exercise. I didn't want you to see the seams of how we did it, and because the story itself is very moving to me. I went back to the Hans Christian Andersen tale and saw this very modern story. Actually, it was interesting to see this contemporary story about a young girl who feels displaced and wants a different life than was planned for her, and she goes after her dream, and it's not easy, but she does, and she learns to not be afraid of people that are different than her, which I loved that theme. I think it resonates. It's important that people see that today, that people that are different than you, you shouldn't be afraid of them. They're like you. And that was a beautiful thing. So that thematic idea was something that was very important to me.
A large part of your projects have had very strong female protagonists. What was it like finding the perfect Little Mermaid?
Wow.
And how does the classic Disney character fit into this archetype?
Thank you for saying that about my films. It's interesting. I do connect with female characters very much, and with Ariel, it was finding Ariel was not easy because it was very demanding. But it was thrilling to find Halle Bailey to play the role because she was perfect in every possible way. Such a demanding role, and I think when you go back to the Hans Christian Andersen tale, even almost close to 200 years ago, you see a very modern woman. And so it was right there for us already. She's very strong-willed. She knows what she wants, and she goes after it. And that's something that we leaned into for this movie. Let her be that person, but not at the expense of not being someone who has vulnerability, also can fall in love, with someone that's like a kindred spirit to her. So is making her a fully realized person, not just sort of one thing. And that's why I love this character. It's a very inspiring character.
No, sorry.
Oh, that's so nice. So nice to meet you. Thank you. Take care now.